All right, so welcome back to the show. Now let's talk about the Ghana card registration, which has now been open to all. Now the authority was expected to register public sector workers and issue them Ghana card for free. This was because the accountant and the accountant general wanted to set up the no Ghana card, no salary system this year. But when they went, they had only 87 public sector workers registering over 5 days. Why is that? So NIA has therefore released a statement, and it says the NIA truncate phase 1 of the Ghana card registration commences phase 2 tomorrow, that's today. Now, the National Identification Authority announces for the information of the general public that phase 1 of the Ghana card registration exercise, which was exclusively reserved for first-time applicants who are public sector workers on the government of Ghana payroll, has come to an end. Phase 1 of the exercise, originally planned to last for 10 days, that is from 28th August to 8th September 2023, has been truncated as a result of the unexpectedly low turnout. The decision to apportion 10 days of phase 1 was based on the figures provided by the Controller and Accountant General's Department, estimating 250,000 to 260,000 public sector workers on GOG payroll to participate in the phase 1. Unfortunately, only 87 of the targeted beneficiaries presented themselves for registration. Thus, phase 2 of the registration exercise will begin Monday, 4th September 2023. This is to ensure efficiency and effectiveness in the use of public resources and to ensure that other members of the public are able to access NIA's services. Well, we've been joined by the Executive Secretary, Professor Ken Atefua. Prof, good morning to you. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, sir, and thank you for having me.
Prof, have we been able to ascertain why only 87 people were able to register over 5 days period?
No, we have not been able to ascertain that, and that is not something that is within our remit. We don't have the resources, the interest, or the ability to make that ascertainment.
Okay.
And the reason is that these are persons who, if indeed they exist as such and are on government of Ghana, payroll, they are public sector workers on government of Ghana payroll, communication would have reached them through the attorney, through the Controller and Accountant General Department, and also through the widespread publicity that NIA gave to this initiative. And so those persons would have been adequately informed of the locations where they could register, which is every single one of the 276 NIA district offices. And as NIA district offices are co-terminals with the constituencies of this country. So instead of 261 districts for the administrative districts, we are in 276, all constituencies, including South. Also, the public sector workers could go to any of the 8 regional offices of NIA that are not participating in our premium registration services where fees are charged. And so if they went to such regional offices as Accra, Bolgatanga, Cape Coast, Dambai, Damango, Goso, Naleredi, and Wa, they could get this free service as first-time applicants. So having given them the information, having given them the opportunity, having opened our doors to them and made our resources and services available, and assessing the performance for the first 5 weeks, it was our determination that no useful purpose to be served by keeping the offices open exclusively to this category of targeted beneficiaries, and that prudence and the efficient and effective application of public resources, time and facilities ought to be our watchword, and therefore we should open up the aperture, the space for all Ghanaians who are qualified, that is Ghanaians age 15 and above, who are first-time applicants. to access our services. Yes.
Which means that there's opportunity for the public sector workers will not be given back to them again.
No, there's no need. The evidence is clear. There is no need to do that. It will be, I think, a waste of resources, quite solid, to, as it were, give this opportunity back to public sector payroll, public sector workers on Government of Ghana payroll. They have been given the opportunity. The opportunity will remain open to them as ordinary members of the Ghanaian public, not as a specialized category of people who were being targeted as we did last week. So the opening is available to all Ghanaians age 15 and above. And those public sector workers on Government of Ghana payroll who have not yet registered and who were unable to take advantage of the opportunity last week may still do so from today till eternity. There is always the time to do it. There is no barrier to the ability to do it, to get registered.
So, there was a target we're working towards. Where are we now in terms of the people we've registered and the people whose cards we've delivered to them? How many cards do we have that people have not come to collect?
No, sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. You said there was a target we're working. Are you referring to the target with respect to public sector payroll work?
No. I mean the general populace. You want to register a certain amount of people? Yes, yeah.
Sure. Okay, so then please pose your question again. I'm sorry.
So I wanted to find out from you, with the general populace, the number of people you want to register, how many have we done? How many have received their cards? How many are yet to receive their cards?
Okay, sorry. When the gentleman called me for this conversation, I was driving and I parked by the roadside.
Okay.
He indicated that he wanted to talk about the public sector payroll workers and the truncation of the process. So I didn't advert my mind to the issues we are raising, and I'm not equipped with the latest registration statistics as I say last week. But I can tell you in general that we have roughly 31 million Ghanaians. We started with about 24 million Ghanaians when we were planning to do mass registration in 2028. At that time, our target was 80% of the population aged 15 and above. By the end of mass registration in September 2020, after COVID and all of that, and the mop-up and the special card issuance list and all of that, we had registered about 16 million Ghanaians, 16.3, I believe. Now, since then, we have, since November 3rd, 2021, we have opened 276 district offices, co-terminus with the constituencies, and we have also opened 16 regional offices. Through the operation of these offices and the special registration centers we opened up at Accra Sports Stadia, Elwak Stadia, Ho Stadia, and many others, Tamale and other places, Kumasi and the rest. And through the institutional registration and household registration, by which we are able to go into institutions and households and register persons there at their request if they have 100 persons or 5 persons or more, respectively, at a statutory fee. Through these arrangements, we have been able to register an additional roughly 2 million people. And so we now have about 17.4 something, I don't have the exact figure, but we have about 17.4 million Ghanaians captured on the National Identity Register. Then out of that number, we have about 16 point, again, I'm not 100% sure because I could give you that in about 20, 30 minutes, but we have about 16.5 or 16.6 million Ghanaians who actually have the card in their hands. Then there are about 600 or so thousand cards that have not been issued to people. Out of this number, some of the cards are in various states of adjudication. That is to say, some of them have a problem. Some people have changed their identities without recourse to lawful means, and their applications have joined a queue of problem applications to be investigated. For example, where somebody changes their name from what it was when they registered during President Kufuor's time, or when they registered under President Mahama or President Mills before him, and did not get their card, or even got a card, but are now eligible for the new regime of Ghana card. But the name they used was John Mensah, and now they come and they say they are Johnson Mensah, and they have added H or deleted H from the added H, the Mensah or deleted H, without providing any legal documentation in support of that. The application will conflict with the old one, and it will go into adjudication. And problems in adjudication are to be solved on a case-by-case basis, and that is very time-consuming, given that there is also a large number of people who are seeking to register. So there's a long queue for that. Then there are those who have also changed their date of birth, some seeking to be 10 years or 3 years or some months younger, or some genuinely correcting an error, not seeking to dupe the nation, as some of them are seeking to do. But whatever it is, they have not gone through the proper procedures of establishing legally that they are entitled to change that name, and they are doing so in accordance, that date of birth, and they are doing so in accordance with law. All such applications, which clash with the earlier record, also go into adjudication and have to be investigated. Then there is a third category. There are people who, for whatever reason, even though at the time of capturing their data, it was duly captured, their biometrics, that is to say, their face, their iris or eye, and their fingerprints were correctly captured. However, when it comes to printing the card, you find that the records have disappeared. It's a very infinitesimal number of people, but it is a reality nonetheless that their records cannot be found. And then there are few cases also where the records actually exist, but you issue the command and the card cannot be printed. So all of these are issues, and they form part of these applications form part of those that have not been issued. But, sir, the bulk of unissued cards are cards belonging to persons who registered during the mass registration at a registration center near their locality.
Okay.
But who have since not gone to the registration centers, who did not go to back to the registration centers when we were doing mass registration, or have since not gone to the district office where the cards have now been relocated to have the cards issued to them. You see, our cards have to be issued to people. They cannot be distributed through the post. They cannot and ought not be distributed or given to relatives to go and give to, and friends to go and give to people. We have to be certain that you are who you say you are, and that you are the person we have given the card to. It is for that reason that we require people to present themselves physically at our offices so that the card is issued to them biometrically. However, given the reality that some people made genuine efforts, went to our registration centers a couple of times, and for whatever reason, we were also unable to print their cards and give to them because, for example, network connectivity challenge or, shortage of consumables, although that was never the issue during mass registration, but as an explanation for today. Given that we were unable to serve everyone who ought to have been served during mass registration, we've taken it upon ourselves to go back into the community to issue the cards to them away from our offices, plugging into local calendars, local market days and community festivities and events of that nature. And we have been helped in that regard by a number of members of parliament, a number of MMDCs and MMDCs and cultural and administrative heads in the regions and districts, some of whom have made either a pickup truck, vehicle or fuel or ration or some amount of money possible, and the police accompanying some of our district officers to go into the community to issue the cards. And that has happened especially since February 2023. And so I could give you the exact figures later, but the ballpark general idea as at about a week ago is what I've spoken to in broad strokes.
Interesting. So if I'm to go and register now, the assurance is that I don't need to pay a dime to get registered, right?
If that is so, sir. If you go to the offices I mentioned earlier, Accra, Bolgatanga, Cape Coast, Dambai, Damango, Gosu, Naleregu, and Wa, and any of our 276 district offices, there at these places is free, of course. If you go there as a first-time applicant, you've never applied, you go there as a first-time applicant, it's free of charge. But if you go to any of the other registration regional offices where we are doing premium registration, then you will pay 280 fees. And that's at home, Koporubia, Kumasi, Sunyani, Sekirioso, Takrade, Tamale, and Ekima. And finally, if you go for a replacement of your lost, stolen, or damaged card at any of our offices, you will pay the fee prescribed by Parliament, which is 34 cedis and 50 pesos. And that service is also available at all the offices that I mentioned.
Okay. Usually you hear people say when you go to the head office, you pay some money and then you get it done.
Yes,
that is
true. That is true to the extent that the head office here is a premium registration center. You see, when we finish mass registration, we set up premium registration centers as by law required. Now, we had initially set up only at the head office. And it was like going to get a visa at DFS or Movember. You book an appointment. That is the system still here. You are required to book an appointment, select a time you want to be here, and pay the fee that is prescribed by Parliament online or at the Cowbank branch. When you do that and you say, I want to come and register at 10:30 a.m. on 4th September 2023, by the time you get here, an officer is happily seated and waiting for you. But the reality is that after SIM card registration announcement was made and the deadline was approaching, people massed up at our head office here in Accra without making an appointment. So even though our established daily capacity may be to serve, let's say, 120 people at the head office through the premium service, you can have about 2,000 people massing up at our gate. This avalanche of demand by people who have not made appointments and who you cannot say, go home. You can't just say you won't be responsive to the legitimate needs of people to get a service, even if they are not using the legitimate procedures. It forces you then to adapt and to adjust your arrangement in order to meet them. That is why we set up special registration points at Elwak Stadium and Accra Sports Stadium and all the other stadia that I mentioned. And that is why we were also compelled to put up canopies and tents at our premises to serve this, avalanche to meet the avalanche of demand. Unfortunately, when it rains, when it's windy. It creates issues and it's heartbreaking, but it is because of this that we also expanded the premium registration centers, set up one at Cowbank head office on Independence Avenue, and then have since set up in the other cities I mentioned, Ho, Kokorodua, Kumasi, Singani, we also Takrade, Tamale, and Techiman. And we are seeking to, within the next month, establish offices in premium registration centers in all the regional capitals. And once that happens, we will have we will have free services happening in the regional offices, and the paid services also happening at the premium centers within the regional capitals where we will set them up. Of course, it is subject to a viability test. You want to be sure that if you set up a premium registration center in Dubai, that it will indeed get traction, that people will patronize it, that you won't have workers sitting there idle. You want to be sure that if you set it up in any of the other cities that are regional capitals, that it will be economically viable. So all of these are matters that we are exploring, and wherever we have set up, it is because we are satisfied that those minimum preconditions have been met, and that at least we can operate it and test it for maybe 3 months or so. And finally, if I may, you asked an important question, and a fuller answer requires me to add that the target population, therefore, with the updated statistics from Statistical Service, no longer the 24 million, but the 31 million, the current population. That means that we must go beyond what was our target initially. Now, our target then is 19 million, I think 19.2 or thereabout million of the population that is age 15 and above. So if you look at that population cohort, 15 and above, then NIA has registered 17.4 million, as I indicated. That roughly leaves us with about 2.5 million people who are age 15 and above, but who have not yet registered for the Ghana card. Now, the 2.5 million people, NIA has the capacity, physical and personnel capacity, to register all of them before the end of this year, subject to the availability of blank cards. We recently received 484,000 blank cards. That's what we have deployed for use at our offices in the special registration exercise that has been the subject of your conversation with me this morning. So our target is to reach about 19.2 or so million, and I'm confident that we can meet that target by the end of the year. And that will mean that anyone who is eligible to register would have had the opportunity to do so, 2.5 million. And it should put shut to a number of controversies in this country, including voter registration, because 15 years and above, the total population outstanding unregistered is 2.5 million. If you capture them, and NIA can only register people who present themselves. People must be willing to present themselves to be registered.
Okay.
So it cannot be that at any time, at time 1, NIA can say that it has registered all Ghanaians who are eligible, that is from age 15 and above. But I can assure you that anyone who presents themselves for registration, we will, subject to availability of blank cards, be able to register them. We have indeed started the registration of children aged 0 to 6. We started on the 1st of August. It is happening as a partnership between, or a collaboration between NIA and Birth and Death Registry and the Ministry of Health. It's a technical solution that doesn't have a lot of human interface, and so not a lot of people are hearing about it. But when a child has an identity, established sociological identity by, say, age 6 weeks, That is to say, when the parents have named the child, and it's not just a child with the mother's name, baby mama, but the child has a real name. They go for weighing or whatever. Whenever they come into interaction with the medical and therapeutic community, or health facility, that the health personnel and the birth and death registry would capture the details of the child and the parents, and then transmit that through a technical through NIA. NIA will then generate a unique personal identification number for that child and peg it to that of the mother. And when the child is 6 years old, a Ghana card, a smart Ghana card, can be issued to the child, will be issued to the child, or a 2D barcode, two-dimensional barcode card can be issued to the child before the 6 years of age. So we have everyone captured from the beginning of life. So we do away with this phenomenon of football age and all these other controversies around election of identity and age and the rest of them. And then there is also the second gap.
Prof, can I ask you a question on that one?
Sure.
Is this being done throughout the country, or you are starting from a certain point?
Oh, it's been done throughout the country. The piloting was done in July. It's available at all medical facilities. That's what is supposed to happen, yes.
Okay.
Where birthing takes place, yes.
Okay. So it means that if they take a child to the weighing or to the clinic, his information would have to be taken and then transmitted to you for the child to have the identity.
That's right. Okay. And the only condition is that the parents must have named the child, so the child has a unique identity from the parents. Yes. And we are interested in registering Ghanaians, so that's why birth and death registry also comes in, that we are satisfied that this child is a Ghanaian, has been issued with a birth certificate, so we can capture the birth certificate number or other serial number that the birth and death registry would provide. And then we would have done also a unique, a unique testing, a liveness test. We want to be sure that the mother is the mother of the child, that this is not a child trafficking case, this is not a stolen, the case of a stolen child. That so we do a liveness test. The mother must take a picture, not a picture of a picture, but the mother's picture and the mother's Ghana card. You must take a picture, a live Ghana card picture, and present. And then, of course, that coupled with the child's own particulars that I've described. And then we do a liveness test of that also. These are all technical processes that are done through software. And when these processes are satisfied, that is when they will be transmitted to, NIA. And when NIA has satisfied itself that these are legit, that is when a unique personal identification number is generated and stored in the database.
All right. Grateful to you. But kindly stay with us. A lot more people are bringing in their thoughts and asking questions about the process. I'm sure that once we have you, very open executive secretary, you'll be willing to answer some of the questions for us. He's done great education this morning. We're continuing. You can join us with your concerns as well. What are your questions about the Ghana card? You can ask that, and the executive secretary, Professor Ken Atefua, would help address your concerns for us here on the AM show. So the numbers will be rolling on the screen. You can pick that and give us a call so that you can ask your questions, and then Prof would answer that for us. This is still the AM show here on the Joy News channel. We'll put the number across on the screen very, very shortly, and then you can call in, bring your concerns, and Prof would answer that for us. Prof, so you were moving on to another angle when I stopped you and asked that question. You might want to continue for us now.
Yes. I'm just saying that there is also a second cohort of the population that has not yet been captured, and that is those aged between 6 and 14. Remember, we started mass registration from 15 and above. So those aged 6 to 14, we are also planning to commence their registration. The only thing we're waiting for is blank cards. Once we have adequate blank cards, we will begin the registration of Ghanaians aged 6 and 14, aged between 6 and 14. For that, we'll be working with the National Health Insurance Authority, who are our collaborators on this program, and of course, working through Ghana Education Service and all the stakeholders, reaching this cohort of the population wherever they are gathered in kindergartens and primary schools and JSS and the rest of them. Yes. So the expectation is that within a year, and all the children come up to about 12 million people. So we have about 2.5 million for those age 15 and above.
Okay.
And then we have roughly 12 million for those who are between 0 and 14.
Okay.
So this cohort of the population, these two cohorts, we can capture, maximum within a year.
Okay.
And in that sense, that is when you could say that most Ghanaians, if not all Ghanaians, have been captured.
Okay.
And that's our target.
Okay.
The current population estimate from the statistical service put the figure a little beyond the 31 million we all knew about a year ago. So
okay, Prof. Kindly hold the line for me. There's a caller on the line who has a question. Mustafa is calling us from Ashaiman. Mustafa, good morning to you. What's your question?
Hello, good morning, sir. Yeah, please, I'm calling from Ashaiman. I would like to know where can I get a district office within my locality as a first time registration?
Where can you get what?
NIA district office within Ashaiman.
NIA registration office within Ashaiman as a first timer. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm grateful.
I wouldn't know the answer to that question on a district by district basis. I don't have that list with me. But if you contact the district assembly or municipal assembly, the NIA offices are located. Most of them are located at the MMDA.
Okay.
So if in a few cases we are in rented premises, so if you go to the assembly as the first point of call, and we are not located there, I am more than certain they can direct you to the right place.
Okay. Interesting. You can also give us a call 0302211692. If you have a question about NIA, we are on with the Executive Secretary. It would help in addressing your answers, your concerns for you. So do call us now and let's understand what your question is about the Ghana card. 0302211692. You can call and join us. Prof, as we wait for people to join us. Okay, Fred from Ofanko. Fred, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Let's hear you, sir.
Yeah, I want to ask Prof that my wife had a change of name, and she went to Ofanko district office to do the change of name over there. And they said you have to go to the head office. I don't know whether the last time we went to the head office, and the number of people over there was so huge that we couldn't even wait. And we need the NIA card to do one or two things. So I don't know what are the possible easiest way that we can do so that we can get our card.
Okay. So your wife has a new name and you wanted to do a change of name, right?
Yes.
But they said they couldn't do that on Fanco unless you go to the head office.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Prof would answer for you, okay? Hello, Prof. Do we have you?
I'm here.
Great. So that's his question. That is why I wanted to do a change of name, but it couldn't happen at Ofanko. They said unless she comes to the head office.
Yes. So unless you go to head office, we have two dimensions. If you go to a district, there was a period. The first question issue to address is when did the wife go to the Ofanko office? Because there was a time when we just didn't have the blank card And when you make a change in name, a new card has to be printed for you. And the district officers didn't have that facility, so we couldn't do that. So that's number one. Number two is a technical question of ascertaining the completeness of that application process. And that was not being done at the district offices. We're doing that at the regional and the regional offices and the headquarters. It's a risk of leaving that at that time, given that power, we're still testing it and testing the system, giving power to all the regional and district offices across the country. We could have chaos with people changing names and dates of birth and all of that. So it's centralized. The approval process is centralized. You make an application, you can make it anywhere, but the approval will come from headquarters. And after it has been properly examined by the technical and legal personnel whose job it is to do that. So I do not know the specifics of what it was, why they told her to go to the headquarters. But I can assure you, I'm speaking with you from the headquarters. If you send your correspondents or journalists to come and see the situation here, there's quite a lot of people here, but it's not like last week. Because now people are going to the regional and district offices that I've talked about. And there are no long queues. And so the situation should ease out. And fresh wives should be able to access the service. If you were to come up, unfortunately, she's in Accra, Fanko, and head office here at South Legon, Shiashi. It's not too much of a journey, and I will entreat him, her, if it is still a live matter, for her to try that, so if not, go to a Fanko and then go to head office again.
I'm told we have Nicholas from Bechele on the line. Nicholas, good morning.
Hello.
Hi, Nico. Let's hear you.
Hello.
Hello, Nicholas.
Hello. Yes. Hello.
I can hear you, sir.
Robert. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I have a problem. I registered in Tamale. I want to change my name. Does it mean I can only change the name in Tamale, or I can change it at any part of the country?
Okay. You can change your name anywhere in the country. You don't have to go to Tamale. You just have to make sure that your documentation is right and proper. And that must we insist. So yes, you are at liberty to change your name, but it must be in accordance with law. And if you present the documentation at any of us, since you are in Accra, I thought I heard you say so, but if you are in Accra, you can have it changed at the head office, and that should be fine. Okay. But you can make the application anywhere. You don't have to go to Tamale.
Prof, I'm so grateful to you for this morning, and the service you rendered to us is huge. Grateful. So that's Professor Ken Atefa. He's Executive Secretary for the National Identification Authority, NIA. This is still the AM show. Well, we'll just take a quick break. We will be back with Ojiahoho Yaojebi II. He is the President of the National House of Chiefs. Stay with us.